Hi everyone, welcome to another update on the stock screener. I got a request to check Petrobras with Soma Gold and see which one is the best to invest in. It's a difficult one because one is oil and the other is gold. So you actually need to understand if it's better to buy oil or to buy gold in the long run. So oil. I think oil can go higher, probably somewhere here, 110, 20. That's probably the place to look at, but then it could come back down in the future because yeah, we are transitioning to electric vehicles at some time. So it's going to be 120 and then go back to 90 at some point. That's what I think. So take that into account. Now let's look at the valuation of Petrobras first. We have an enterprise value of around 200 billion US dollars. Yeah, here it says 100 billion, but they do have a lot of debt. So what is this? Million, billion, 120 billion debt and million, billion, 28 billion in cash. So 100 billion debt added. So that's huge amount of debt, the same as the market cap. Okay, not debt, but liabilities. So they need to pay that off at some point. So we're looking at a company with a lot of liabilities. Okay, so take that into account. Then we have, it's a very difficult business to easily analyze, but I have just taken the revenue from the last quarter times 4, and then I just divided it by the oil price at that time and taken the current oil price, which is 87. So that's an easy way to do this. Of course, this is not just an oil producer, this is also a natural gas producer, also a refiner, etc. But I'm not going to go that deep. So this is just an easy way. The costs are just the revenue minus the profits. So that's the cost, and I took this the same for future. Of course, this is going to go up if oil goes up, but let's just use these numbers. This is the oil price going to 90. Okay, we can play with it later on. Capex around 11 billion, interest 2 billion, and yeah, they can pay it off at some point. Tax rate I took 20%, and then we get this outcome. So around 20 billion net income per year. 20 billion per year. Let's compare this with our numbers here. Where are the numbers? Yeah, net income is 6 billion times 4 is 25 billion. So it's around that number, right? 25, 22, depending on the oil price. Now look at this graph. So it's a profitable company. That's great, with good margins, around 20% margins. maybe a bit less, but depending on the oil price, it's higher. So good margins, cash flow in company. But when you look at this chart, it's actually a bit overvalued, right? It's actually a bit overvalued because of the high debt. 20 billion times 10, so 10 times EV to cash flow. 10 times EV to cash flow, yeah, that's fair value to me at the current oil price. Now, of course, Petrobras is a company with a lot of long life assets, so this is going to keep on going indefinitely, 20, 30 years probably. So these cash flows will keep on coming in. So this chart should be much longer. And yeah, we can play with the oil price now. Let's say we go to 100, then we get a much better profile. So then there is upside, a lot of upside, probably even a double possible at 100 oil if oil stays at 100. We could go to 120 forever. Not sure if that will happen, but we can look at it, and you see that there is a lot of upsides, at least a double, maybe even more than a double. So yeah, I'm positive about Petrobras, but it will depend on the oil price. Let's say the oil price goes back to 80. That could happen. We don't know the future. At 80, this looks not that good. Okay, so at 80 oil, there's actually downside. 20-30% downside is what I guess at 80 oil. So it all depends on what the oil price will do. And I can't help you with that. You will need to decide for yourself what the oil price will be. I think it could stay at 90 to 100. And to be conservative, I would say 90 for the long period. So yeah, it's actually fair value to me at 90 oil. So is this better than Soma gold? Gold is something completely different from oil. Oil is a commodity depending on supply and demand is going to come down in the future due to the EV revolution. All Europeans will eventually need to drive an EV. China will go to EVs. So even if India and China use more oil in the future, eventually we will transition to electric vehicles and then demand would come down. But that will be somewhere in the future, 10, 20 years from now. So yeah, Petrobras still seems to be pretty okay because oil is still going to rise. Now, gold is something completely different. Gold is money and depends on what the Fed is going to do, what interest rates are going to do. Depends on the banking crisis, depends on recessions. I think gold is going to go higher, maybe 2,500. So let's say today we are at 1913 again. Next year we could be at 2000, then 2100, 2200. I think gold could go to that level, 2300. Probably much higher. But this is a good estimate. And you can see here already how the cash flows come in. So cash flows come in like this, and we reach our enterprise value in 3 years, and then there is more upside possible if they actually do what they promise. Then there will be a lot of upside very quickly. Just in 6-7 years, we will have a double at least. And the market could already anticipate that by buying it right now. With Petrobras, we stay below the enterprise value. So at the $90 oil, I would still buy Soma Gold, because at Soma Gold, we get to the enterprise value in only 3 years, right? And then we go above the enterprise value. With Petrobras, we still stay below that line here, and only go above there maybe in 15 years, depending on the oil price, of course. I keep telling you this. This is crucial. The price of the commodity is crucial. So I think we got our answer. I still think that Soma Gold will outperform Petrobras. Petrobras will probably hover around here depending on the oil price, up and down, while Soma Gold will keep on rising as it increases production by 50% next year and decreases costs by 30%. So this is going to keep on rising much faster, in my opinion, than Petrobras. And I also expect gold to breach 2000 at some point. And that would give a lot of leverage to Soma Gold. We know that Soma Gold has 5 times leverage to the gold price. And I can illustrate you that here. Currently, we are here somewhere, and then look at this line. This is 2024. If we just go to 2200, then we will have an upside of from here to here. So that's 70 million in market cap from here to here. And 70 million is exactly the same as the current market cap. So that's a double. So by going from 1900 gold to the 2200 gold, we just have a double in market value, as you can see from this line. So huge leverage. Leverage is 5 times for 2024. If they can manage to increase production, then we have 10 times leverage. But okay, 2028 is a long way. We don't have the resource yet to do this, but we can always hope and look into the future. But even with the current numbers, there's a possible double if gold just goes to 2200. So I like gold actually more than oil because of the high debt, because of rate cuts, because of recession that's coming. So I like gold more than oil at this moment. And oil will probably hover around this level and go down in 2035 or something like that. So, yep, that's the answer to the question. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.